Consumer prices jumped 3.6% this year, much higher than expected. Utility bills and agricultural product prices have pushed inflation up. The question now is, how can the authorities keep inflationary pressure in check in 2024? The U.S. says it harbors no hostile intent toward North Korea, responding to the regime's leader Kim Jong-un's recent calls for war preparations. From K-pop sensation across the world, cinemas to major sporting events, we look back at major takeaways in the arts and culture sectors in 2023. It's December 29th, 2023. This is News Center. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Yoon Jung-min. Consumer prices this year jumped 3.6% this year, way higher than expected. Utility bills and agricultural product prices have pushed inflation up, creating real stress on the kitchen table. This is prompting the authorities to do more to keep inflationary pressure in check in 2024. Lee Soo-jin starts us off.
South Korea's consumers were hit with higher prices this year. Data from Census Korea on Friday shows that in 2023, consumer prices, a key gauge of inflation, rose 3.6% compared to the previous year. While the increase was less than that of 2022, when consumer prices grew at the fastest pace in more than 2 decades following the outbreak of war in Ukraine, it was still high compared to before the COVID-19 pandemic, when consumer prices rose less than 1% in 2019 and in the 1% to 2% range from 2016 to 2018. Census Korea mostly attributed the high prices this year to soaring energy prices and unstable weather patterns. Electricity, gas, and water prices jumped a whopping 20% compared to a year earlier on electricity and gas rate hikes, the largest rise on record. Prices of agriculture and fisheries products also rose by 3.1% this year, mostly due to the high prices of fruits from the poor weather seen in the summer and fall. The stats agency, however, emphasized that other sectors saw an easing of price pressures.
With the exception of electricity, gas, and water prices, overall the rising consumer prices greatly slowed compared to 2022, and this was mainly due to the drop in oil prices compared to last year.
Industrial products were up 2.6%, and prices in the service sector rose by more than 3% this year. For the month of December, the on-year rise in consumer prices was similar to that of the previous month, going up 3.2%. That's the 5th consecutive month that consumer prices saw an on-year increase of more than 3%. The Bank of Korea on Friday said that while inflation is expected to show signs of easing in the new year, the central bank will maintain a tight policy until the rise in consumer prices slows to its target rate of 2%. Lee Soo-jin, Arirang News.
South Korea's national tax revenue from January to November this year was around 324 trillion won, which is about $251 billion according to the Finance Ministry. It's a decline of $38 billion on year. But the ministry reported a narrowing gap in tax revenue for the same period compared to last year's. This is attributed to a consistent increase in national tax revenue for 2 consecutive months starting from October. In November alone, the country witnessed a boost in tax collections amounting to an additional $0.7 billion. It was primarily due to higher corporate and income tax revenues, marking the first monthly rise in 2023. As of November, this year's total tax revenue accounts for 81% of the annual target. Shifting gears, South Korea's defense chief says North Korea's light water reactor at Yongbyon is unlikely to be used to produce plutonium, a key fuel for nuclear weapons. Speaking to reporters on Thursday, Defense Minister Shin Won-sik noted that Seoul detected an outflow of water from the reactor's cooling system last summer. Shin cast doubt on the IAEA's recent assumption that the reactor could be used to produce plutonium. The minister instead added that light water reactors are generally used for electricity generation. He estimated that the reactor would be in full operation next summer. The U.S. State Department has responded to North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's recent calls for war preparations amid his claims of American hostility. Our North Korean affairs correspondent Kim Jong-un reports.
The U.S. has made it clear that it has no hostile intent toward Pyongyang and remains committed to diplomacy. This is according to Yonhap News Agency on Friday in its Q&A with a U.S. State Department spokesperson. The official stressed that the U.S. seeks dialogue with Pyongyang without preconditions, even as the North has launched an unprecedented number of ballistic missiles. The U.S. official's comment comes after North Korean leader Kim Jong-un made orders on Wednesday to beef up the regime's war preparations. According to the North State-run Korean Central News Agency, during the year-end plenary session of the Central Committee of the North's ruling Workers' Party, Kim set forth the tasks to, quote, further accelerate war preparations, saying the U.S. is engaged in unprecedented acts of confrontation against the regime. Meanwhile, a U.S. expert on North Korea reiterated that Washington must shift its policy focus from denuclearization to arms control and reduction. Yong-Suk Lee, a former deputy assistant director of the Korea Mission Center at the CIA, recently wrote on the Foreign Policy Research Institute's website that the first step to this process is to, quote, politically accept North Korea's de facto status as a nuclear weapons state. Meanwhile, the South Korean National Intelligence Service said North Korea is highly likely to engage in provocative actions at the beginning of the year ahead of South Korea's general election in April and the U.S. presidential election in November. In a press release on Thursday, the NIS vowed to make efforts to establish early warning and preparedness systems with relevant ministries. Kim Jong-sil, Arirang News.
Fresh concerns of human rights violations have been raised amid the spread of footage online of at least 2 Palestinian boys stripped and detained by Israeli soldiers in a football field. Lee Seung-jae has the latest.
A video has surfaced on social media showing Palestinian men and at least 2 children detained and stripped by the Israeli military in a stadium in northern Gaza. The video appears to show 2 young boys stripped down to their underwear, walking and holding both their hands up as the Israel Defense Forces soldiers give instructions. Later in the video, it also shows adult male detainees stripped down to their underwear, sitting on the ground with their hands tied to their backs, some blindfolded, while soldiers inspect them. While Israel has not commented directly on the video, it has said in the past that it has stripped detainees to ensure they were not carrying explosives. The IDF has detained hundreds of men and boys in recent weeks. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu canceled a war cabinet meeting set to be held Thursday evening to discuss Israel's plans for who will govern Gaza after the armed conflict. The announcement also comes as Israel's far-right religious Zionism party said it was holding its own faction meeting to protest its exclusion from the post-war discussions. Netanyahu has previously argued against the Palestinian Authority taking control of Gaza after the armed conflict. Conflict continues on the border between Israel and Lebanon as the Israeli military on Thursday shelled Hezbollah infrastructure using aircraft and tanks. This was a response to Hezbollah's attack the previous day on the northern part of Israel, bordering Lebanon, using rockets and drones. Since the armed conflict began in October, it's estimated that about 150 Hezbollah militants have been killed in Lebanon. The Iran-backed militant group vowed to double its attacks if Israel continues to escalate the conflict. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
The interim chief of the ruling People Power Party, Han Dong-un, met with the main opposition Democratic Party leader Lee Jae-myung on Friday. During this meeting, both leaders emphasized the importance of prioritizing their shared commitment to serving the people over differing interests. Friday's meeting came a day after the opposition-controlled parliament unilaterally passed 2 special probe bills, including one to investigate First Lady Kim Gon-hee. Earlier that day, Han also met with Kim Jin-pyo, the Speaker of the National Assembly. There, the PPP chairman reiterated his dedication to fostering a spirit of dialogue and compromise, recognizing the importance of these qualities during challenging times. Last month, Arirang TV launched its first AI anchor, Ari. Now she has a preview of what to look forward to in 2024 in the Korean society and what significant events are in store worldwide.
Good evening. I am Arirang News AI anchor, Ari. Next year, the South Korean government plans more support for young people, seniors, and the disabled. We begin with the new policies for young people. A new youth transportation card will be introduced, providing a 30% reimbursement on transportation expenses every month. To try and increase the low birth rate, the government will provide more support for newlyweds and those with newborn children. The property acquisition tax will be reduced for newlyweds, or couples with newborns buying a new house. And families with multiple children won't have to pay vehicle acquisition tax when buying a new car. Another change is that from next year, hospitals should register all births. This is because previously, when parents had to report the births themselves, there were cases where the biological parents intentionally did not register their child's birth. As South Korea's population ages, the government plans to provide more support to seniors and the disabled. The country will create over 140,000 jobs for seniors and increase the pension by 7%. The number of low-income households that get livelihood subsidies will also be expanded, so that households up to 32% of the median income will be eligible for subsidies. And 24-hour at-home care will be provided to those with severe disabilities. For public safety, new license holders will be required to learn about autonomous vehicles in preparation for the era of self-driving cars. Also, to enhance safety, low-risk firearms for police officers are being distributed to all officers. Previously, just 1 in 3 officers had such firearms. To tackle recent drug issues, the government will run a 24-hour drug hotline and establish 17 rehabilitation centers throughout the country. Plenty of big events are happening in 2024. The Gangwon 2024 Winter Youth Olympic Games will kick off in January. South Korea will be the first Asian country to host the Winter Youth Olympics. And in April, the 22nd Korean general election will take place. Can the current opposition party keep hold of the National Assembly? Or can the ruling party gain a majority in parliament? Also, next year we'll see several key elections around the world. In March, Russia will hold its presidential election, and the United States has its presidential election in November. Meanwhile, in Paris this July, athletes will compete in the 2024 Olympics. This year, there have been many conflicts worldwide, such as the ongoing war between Ukraine and Russia and the conflict between Israel and the Hamas militant group, with no apparent resolution in sight. Let's hope for peace in the new year. Not much time left until the new year. Hope all of you have a joyful end to 2023.
The global population is expected to surpass 8 billion on the first day of the new year. Data released by the U.S. Census Bureau on Thursday local time show that the world population in 2023 rose by 75 million people, with the growth rate just under 1%. The Bureau projects that on January 1st, there will be 4.3 birth and 2 deaths worldwide every second, resulting in overall population exceeding 8 billion. 2024 is the year of the Blue Dragon, signifying abundance and peace. Our Lee Yoon-hee takes a closer look at its significance.
As 2024 marks the year of the Blue Dragon, the National Folk Museum of Korea is hosting a special exhibition exploring the symbolism and ancient practices surrounding the mythical creature. Each year is represented by one of the 12 animals of the zodiac, with 2024 being represented by a dragon. Over the course of 60 years, each zodiac animal appears 5 times, each time with a different color, with 2024 being blue. Representing immense power and royalty, the dragon symbol was reserved for kings during the Joseon dynasty. In Korean mythology, the dragon is often represented as the god of water or the god of rain, in bringing good fortune. The Folk Museum's exhibition displays the profound influence the dragon has held in the past, especially for farmers. Featuring a drawing of a dragon is the farmer's flag, representing a farmer's music band. The oration for rain-making ritual was performed during droughts in the 1950s. It involved prayers for rain by honoring the dragon as a god. Wishing or hoping for something is a timeless tradition, and with 2024 approaching, people are making wishes for the upcoming new year.
Our New Year's wish is that our moving houses goes smoothly for us next year.
Looking for, a new job. It's always a struggle, but together we can stick it through and figure out, what the next step will be.
It's almost for every year we wish for our family healthy and our business to be prosper, son to be very healthy and good, behave, yes.
In the year of the Blue Dragon, it is said that the energy of a soaring dragon in the sky brings about a seamless resolution to all issues. Hopefully we'll see that happen in 2024. Lee Eun-hee, Arirang News.
Time now for our weekly arts and culture segment. We have our culture correspondent Song Yujin in the studio. I can't believe, Yujin, it's the last arts and culture segment of the year.
I mean, right, Jongmin, time really flies, doesn't it?
It does so fast. What do you have for us today?
Well, so today, as we prepare to say goodbye to 2023, I thought it would be the best time to reflect on some of the biggest cultural moments in Korea in 2023.
Great, boy. Where should we even start?
Well, let's first start with K-pop, mainly BTS. All 7 members released their individual solo albums this year, which topped music charts overseas, like the US Billboard and UK official charts. The boys also celebrated their 10th anniversary in June, and all members are now in the military, with RMV, Jimin, and Jungkook having started their service this month. And this is when something really interesting happened.
The moment when all BTS members enlisted in the military, their song Spring Day topped the iTunes chart, even surpassing Mariah Carey's Christmas song. It was the fans who made this happen, which shows the unique fan culture of K-pop.
BTS seems to always manage to steal the show. Any other K-pop culture highlights?
Well, this year in K-pop, it was all about girl power. First of all, girl group Blackpink, who recently renewed their group contract, they became the first K-pop artist to headline the Coachella Music Festival in April. And we also have to talk about rookie New Jeans. They became the K-pop act to win a Billboard Music Award, the quickest, topping both the Billboard main single and albums charts within a year of their debut. But experts say what really stood out in K-pop this year was exporting its unique training system.
JYP Entertainment teamed up with Sony Music Japan and created the Japanese girl group Niju. Before, the strategy was to include 1 or 2 non-Korean members in each K-pop group to appeal to the global market. The trend now is creating K-pop style groups tailored to the culture and preferences of the local audience, sometimes without any Korean members.
And not only JYP Entertainment, but HYBE also partnered with US-based Geffen Records for the global audition program, the debut Dream Academy. The resulting 6-member group called Cat's Eye will likely debut next year.
Will it be an exaggeration to say that K-pop's influence is reaching every corner of the globe? Now onto the big screen. It wasn't the brightest year for the Korean cinema, was it?
Right, it wasn't really a blockbuster year for the Korean cinema because just 2 movies surpassed the 10 million mark at the Korean box office, which was the 3rd installment of the Roundup series and 12/12 The Day. Now, one expert I talked to says this is due to the rise of short-form videos.
People now search for quick summaries of movies on YouTube or watch bits of them when they have time. If a movie doesn't have a tightly woven, immersive plot, mind-blowing special effects, or a sound system that you can't replicate at home, theaters are going to find it challenging to lure back the audiences they've lost.
A tough year for theaters, indeed. But streaming services had their time to shine.
Right, it was a really big year for the small screen. For example, the Netflix original The Glory, it became the 3rd most watched title on the streamer during the first half of this year with a total viewing time of 622.8 million hours. Meanwhile, on Disney Plus, Moving became the most watched Korean original on the platform.
And Eugene, moving on to the arts, we saw several Korean artists winning awards at prestigious competitions.
Right, some very exciting news. First of all, for example, baritone Kim Tae-han became the first Asian male singer to win the prestigious Queen Elizabeth competition. And in the world of ballet, Universal Ballet Company's Kang Mi-sun was named the best female dancer at the Benoit de la Danse, known as the Oscars of Dance. So really a big round of applause for all these incredible artists.
And I also remember the Hangzhou Asian Games because you were there. You covered the games on the site.
Right, it was probably one of the most unforgettable and best coverages that I've done this year. And Korea really made a stellar performance, clinching its third consecutive gold in men's football, its first table tennis gold in over 2 decades, and won the women's individual and team badminton competitions for the first time in almost 30 years. Now, esports also received great spotlight, debuting as an official Asian Games sports. Korea won 2 golds in esports and also hosted the League of Legends World Championship for the first time in 5 years. Now, one expert even chose esports player Faker as Korea's culture icon of 2023.
Faker rose to even bigger fame after winning gold at the Asian Games and the League of Legends World Championship. He played a huge role in establishing the idea that gaming is a legitimate sport. He's been drawing hundreds of millions of gamers worldwide to Korea and K-culture, with a fan base as devoted as those of K-pop stars.
But like any other year, it wasn't all good news, was it?
Unfortunately, no. First of all, 50/50, the girl group, they faced a legal dispute with their management agency when they requested a contract suspension, and the court denied their request, and the company expelled the 3 members who continue with the lawsuit. So it's more like 25-75 than 50/50. And a few days ago, actor Lee Sun-gyun, best known for the Oscar-winning movie Parasite, died at the age of 48 in an apparent suicide. Lee was under investigation for alleged drug use, which he denied. So it's quite a somber note to end on, but these are some of the cultural milestones of 2023. And as a cultural correspondent, it was my pleasure sharing what's buzzing and trending in the world of culture. And here's to more exciting cultural journeys in 2024.
Right, there were a lot of ups and downs. I hope to hear more exciting stories in 2024. Our culture correspondent, Song Yujin, thank you.
Thank you.
The year of 2024 is just around the corner. At the end of this year, fine dust is a problem instead of the cold. It's already the 5th day today of high fine dust levels. This is expected to be resolved tomorrow with rain or snow falling across the country. The air in Midwestern regions, 전라북도 and 경상북도 provinces will be dusty until it snows tomorrow. Looking at the rain and snow forecasts, heavy snow is expected in the central region. By the day after tomorrow, the last day of this year, more than 20 centimeters of snow is expected in the mountainous areas of Gangwon-do province, up to 7 centimeters in eastern Gyeonggi-do province, and 1 to 5 in Seoul. The snow and rain will mostly stop on Sunday morning, but the Chungcheong-do and Jeollado provinces will continue to have snow and rain forecasts until the evening. The last Saturday of this year will start off at 0 degrees in Seoul. Daily highs will be topping out at 4 degrees in Seoul, Gyeongju and Busan 11 degrees Celsius. Even on the weekend, there will be no major cold exceeding the usual temperatures seen at this time of year. The last sunset is expected around 5:23 p.m. As for the first sunrise of New Year, 7:47 a.m. is what's predicted. Sending you warm wishes for a happy new year. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
That is News Center for tonight. Thank you for watching. A panel session coming up.